Hello everyone. Today I will be discussing the use of Active Directory on a Windows Server 2025 and the necessary adjustments to ensure compatibility with legacy systems such as Windows 2000 and Windows XP. Myself, I am Dimitri Redant. I am the owner of the company Digitalux, where I secure and manage IT infrastructures for many companies. I'm also a certified Azure Solutions Architect and a certified NIS2 Directive Senior Lead Implementer. Windows Server 2025 had many changes on the way. So you have now a Windows 11 desktop-alike experience. There is Bluetooth connectivity possible by using Bluetooth mice, Bluetooth keyboard, Bluetooth headset, for sure when your system has a chipset for it. You can now perform as well in-place upgrades from 2022 Error 12 R2 and above. You have also the hotspot functionality availability when your system is connected to Azure Arc and has a data center license. And then for Active Directory specific, when we install it on the server 2025, you will have now a 32K database page size instead of 8K. Since Windows 2000, it was always 8K database page sizes, so now it's the first time in 25 years that we have a increased database size, page size. So what's a page size? Page size, it's in fact the object in ID. One object can contain 8K on data, meaning that this is the data on attributes, values, etc. This means that now we can have an increase on this one. There is also a new schema. There is also a object repair in AD, which is in fact when you have a core component, core attribute missing, it will repair itself. You will have NetBIOS deprecation, meaning it's not using anymore NetBIOS. Improved domain controller location algorithm. You have also new forest and domain functional levels. LDAP is by default encrypted in this version and has support for TLS 1.3. And Windows Server has now also NUMA support and Active Directory as well. So you have performance counters also on DC Locator, LSA lookups, and LDAP client. To have a insecure design, because in fact, when we talk about integrating Windows 2000, Windows XP into a domain controller, at this moment, it is seen as an insecure action because you will downgrade some functionalities. And here I will discuss about what to downgrade. So you have in fact the first time without downgrading something, you will have some issues by connecting Windows XP in my use case towards a domain. You see here that it can be about the specified network name is no longer available. That's the first when you want to try it. And then when you disable, for instance, NTLM, then you get no, Windows XP by default has NTLM v1 and the domain controller NTLM v2. And when you then try the activity to domain join, you will see a no username or bad password. The reason behind is that the hash is just simply differently calculated. So on activating, how do you want to make your domain controller compatible with Windows 2000 and XP? It's in fact by using RC4 hashing as default for Kerberos tickets. You see on the right side of my presentation the policy that can be used to have this active. So you have network security, configure encryption types allowed for Kerberos, where you see RC4, hey, MAC, MD5 enabled. So, and then we have TLS 1.0 and TLS 1.1. These are also to be activated because Windows 2000, Windows XP does not have any knowledge on TLS 1.2 and above. So this you see also in the right screen of the presentation, a registry to enable TLS 1.0 and 1.1 only for server and not for client. SMB version 1 is also required, and that's mainly for the GPOs and the netlogon scripts, because Windows 2000 and Windows XP are not aware about SMB v2. On Windows 2008 or 2 and above, you normally have no issues because all those protocols that are mentioned here are also integrated in 2008 or 2. So all these adjustments are only to be made for Windows 2000 and Windows XP. In my libel, I have on my PC installed Hyper-V with lots of solutions like Ubuntu that is active as the DHCP system. I have also as a router because this Ubuntu is connected in two separate subnets to have in fact IP forwarding. I have made two subnets, meaning two Hyper-V virtual switches, one for VLAN 60, which is the modern operating system, which you see on the top of the screen, the square. So, and you have also on my system a Hyper-V virtual switch for the VLAN 61, which is considered as legacy operating system. Those are created by using also sites and subnets. In the site, I have created a site modern OS with the subnet of that VLAN and a legacy OS site with that subnet for legacy OS. And only on the AD controller for legacy OS, which is residing in the same subnet, I made those changes from the slide before. So meaning activating TLS 1.0, activating or installing in this way SMBv1 and activating RC4. In the complete labo, in the complete solution set, everything is disabled on NetBIOS. So Windows XP, Windows 2008, Windows 2025, in fact, everything installed. There is a disablement for NetBIOS over TCP IP by default on. We have enable LM host lookup, which is also set as not to be enabled. It's disabled. So in this is in fact a text where I only need to mention the below by default. So we have domain policy, well, the domain policy, there NTLM v2 is the default, NTLM authentication is blocked in the entire domain, and AES-128 and AES-256 and future protocols are allowed by Kerberos domain white. So if we go to check the labo itself, you see here a lot of virtual machines in my Hyper-V. Let us take a close look to what I have set up as this is the this is the legacy domain controller. So I'm going to do Ctrl L delete, enter in the domain administrator password. By the way, this is just a labo, a demo. So if you want to have this executed, make sure that, because this is in fact to show that it's possible, but make sure that when you create a domain controller infrastructure being or having less security as a default, make sure that this domain controller at that moment is properly secured with other means, like a hardware firewall, like anything else to increase that security level. So you see here that as sites and services, I have two subnets, and those subnets are created with the site modern OS for that subnet, legacy OS for that subnet. And you see the service linked to it. Voila. Now you see here the policies, group policy management. So I've created, in fact, the TLS 1.0 and RC4 for legacy OS connection, and is only active for that DC legacy. And you see that this one is in fact containing the options, the settings, which were in the screenshots on my slide deck. Only on the server created, and here as well only on the server enabled, not the client side. And only on this system, let me open the tool here, add remove, chuck, chuck, chuck. Only on this system you will see that there is SMB v1 installed. And here again, only server is installed, not client. Voilà. Up, voilà. If you take a look in the default in domain policy, you will see that on security options, network security, you will see that NTLM v2 is the only one set. This is also set for Windows XP, and this one is set by default for everything on those settings. As you saw before, this one is only active on the legacy domain controller. So meaning the domain controller with less security. Make sure also in any means that you have also in this default domain controller policies. I was going to say make sure that if you do something as such, make sure that you always have two domain controllers, because if your domain controller is down for some reason, the Windows XP system will at that moment continue to function with another domain controller in your domain. If the other domain controller is not as insecure as this one, it will fail, meaning user issues, incidents will be created. And this is why if you do such thing in a production environment, make sure that you have always two domain controllers separate and with those settings, and also for sure increased security. Voilà. What I was going to mention as well, because network security, we have NTLM v2 disabled by default. Here, other, voilà. So you have here network security only on the default domain controller policy. You see that network NTLM is deny all, meaning NTLM is completely disabled. And here we have enable auditing. On the TLS1, so for the legacy domain controller, we see here that NTLM is not deny all, but disable. This means that we are enabling NTLM only on this domain controller. Voilà, those are the settings done for this solution. Now I'm going to open the Windows XP on my lab. And now I'm going to, so on my Windows XP, I'm going to do Control-Delete. I sign in with my Windows XP local administrator account, which is, yep, password is there. First action is to add it to the domain. So as it is in the current in a workgroup. Voila. Put in the domain administrator and also here copy pasting the password. If all goes well, you will see the welcome to the GTX lab domain. And that's because on the domain controller here, NTLM is accepted. So if I go to the server manager, to the event manager, event viewer, I would see on this domain controller, because it's in the same subnet, the NTLM connectivity. Yeah, this one. Voilà. So you see here that lab legacy XP2 source port. You see it's NTLM v2 that you see, and then it is effectively on this domain controller. So now you go to reboot this system. Yes, do you want to restart now? Yes. Let's do Control-Delete. And here select the domain. So now please wait while the domain list is created. Voila. Sometimes you need to do some Control-Deletes on this. So this is the domain administrator, and you see this is able to connect. Voila. Now if you want to see the functionality of the, what did I do? Yeah, okay. So now I'm going to the domain folder, and for sure I need to do a dot and not a slash. Voilà, you see netlogon and sysvol, all is working, and if you check the properties, it's only going towards the domain controllers, what we have set as an insecure. So if I would do here a click set active, it's going to block my complete Windows XP because that one has no SMBv1. So as of this moment, everything is okay, everything is working. So you have your Windows XP still with a functional connectivity towards Active Directory, the latest 2025 edition, and you can continue, let's shut down, so you can continue securing your Active Directory installation. Thanks for watching. Have a great afternoon, night, or morning.